Thank you for joining us once again for the 21 Days Habit Challenge Facebook Live sessions. Just a quick recapitulation of what we discussed yesterday in our 6th day discussion. Yesterday we heard how one of the most essential, crucial principles for dealing with bad habits is the power of association. Association can either upgrade us or it can degrade us. The second principle we heard yesterday was the difference between casual interactions and close association. Casual interactions is about neutral dealings, just our hi, hello dealings, or just working and getting the needful done. And intimate association is about dealings of intimacy, where we are very closely connecting to someone. The third principle we heard was how do those intimate dealings develop in a close association? The first thing we do is start sharing things. We eventually move on to sharing food, as in we come together for lunch, dinner, in a restaurant. We meet very often, eat together, spend time together. And it brings us to the third level where we start sharing our hearts. We start opening up with each other. So close intimate association truly means we open the doors of our hearts for people to come in, for their value systems, their belief systems, their thoughts to come into us. And in the beginning what we get is their value systems, and on the heels of their value systems what follows is their lifestyle and sometimes their habits as well. This is why we have to really be careful about whom do we closely hang out with. We will be interacting with everybody. We're going to be good to everybody, kind to everybody. We're going to have a hi-hello relationship, doing the needful relationship with everybody. But when it comes to really closely hanging out with people, we are going to have to choose those people who have the right kind of value system, because it's going to rub on us. And the fourth principle we discussed yesterday was the kinds of association. The first one being vicious. We should avoid it because they have a distorted value system. Second one was victim association. People who have been victimized by bad habits and they've realized that they want to come out of it, and we may also want to come out of a similar habit. So we come together, connect to that association and help each other to deal with our bad habits. And the third is virtuous association, where we actually seek that kind of association. Virtuous association is about those people who have the right value systems, the right mindsets, the right beliefs, the right kind of thoughts, the right kind of lifestyle. That kind of a positive influence will certainly empower us to deal with our bad habits. Very happy to have all of you for this 7th day session. Ladies and gentlemen, we are already 1 week into our 21 days habit challenge. 1 week has passed by. A week has gone. We have 2 more weeks to work together on dealing with our habits. Since it's the 7th day, I thought I would like to help all of you take an inventory of how you have done through the last 1 week. I think it's a good idea to take an inventory and to make a self-assessment of where we stand in the last 1 week and how do we want to map our journey for the next 2 weeks. For all those of you who identified that bad habit that you want to deal with, I even made a commitment to that little micro change that you want to bring in your lives, and even have been consistent with it for the last 1 week, successfully doing it. What is the next step now? Let's say, for example, you decided that you wanted to wake up early. You're waking up at 8 o'clock and now you want to probably wake up at 5 o'clock every day. And let's say you made that micro installment, or decided to make that micro change of 15 minutes. From 8 o'clock, you decided to wake up at 7:45. And let's say you've been consistent through the last week. Let's say that you've been successfully waking up at 7:45 for the last 1 week. What's the next step? For those of you who have been successful in doing that, if you have adapted to that change of waking up at 7:45, for example, now is the time to make that next installment of 15 minutes. coming from 7:45 to 7:30. So for the next 1 week, till the 14th day of our habit challenge, whatever your example may have been, if you have actually adapted to that micro change you made, now make the next micro change. And in this example of waking up, if you were waking up at 8 and have started doing it at 7:45 and adapted, make that installment of 15 minutes to come to 7:30. You will be surprised that just in 2 to 3 weeks time, from 8 o'clock, you've already been waking up at 7:30. Of course, you would also need to work on sleeping of 10 or 15 minutes earlier so you get that adequate rest. What if you've been successfully waking up at 7:45 for the last 1 week and been consistent with that 15 minutes micro change, but haven't adapted? Then spend the next 1 week to get adapted to that 7:45 timing. Get adapted to that 15 minutes change. Don't make that next installment in your lives. Don't bring in that next micro change until you have adapted to the micro change that you decided in the last week. So, either you have been, if you have adapted, move on with the next installment. If you haven't adapted, get adapted in the next week before you make the next micro change. Basically, keep going, ladies and gentlemen. If you're already on the bike, you're already on the bicycle, whether you're riding slow and getting adapted or you're riding fast to make the next installment, just keep going. You're in the right direction. If you're riding your bicycle in the right direction, just keep going. If you stop, that's when you fall off the bicycle. The bike rider will only fall off if he or she stops. Keep moving, keep going. You are in the right direction, and certainly you will head there one day. Now, for those of you who identified your habit, even made a commitment to that micro change, but could not keep up with that micro commitment that you made in the last 1 week, for those of you who failed for some reason, don't worry. Pick yourself up, get yourself together, but keep moving. Now, the nature of success is that it gets into our heads and makes us complacent. So the first, guys, if you've been successful in keeping up with your commitment, don't let it get into your head. Don't get proud. Don't get complacent, because complacency will stop your growth. And the nature of failure is whenever we are not able to keep up with our commitments, whenever we are not able to do what we want to do, is that it gets into our heart and makes us depressed. Ladies and gentlemen, if in the last week you haven't been able to keep up with your commitments, don't worry. Don't get depressed. Don't feel guilty. That guilt, if it helps you to improve, is good. But that guilt, if it just sends you into a mental trap, that guilt is no good. In fact, I always say this. It's not about losing a particular battle. It's about winning the war. Ladies and gentlemen, every war is made of many small and tiny battles. And it's only utopia, a fantasy, an imagination to think that those who are fighting in the war will win every battle. That is impossible. Even during the Kurukshetra war, when the 5 brothers, the Pandavas, the noble ones, were fighting with their 100 cousins, the vicious ones, the Kauravas, the whole idea was about winning the war. And the Pandavas kept losing many battles during the war. Abhimanyu, Arjun's son, was killed. Ghatotkach, Bhima's son, was killed. The 5 sons of Draupadi were killed. So many losses during that war. It's not that the Pandavas won every battle, but they were certainly victorious in the war. And during those battles, when they lost those battles, it's natural that we feel depressed. It's natural that we kind of have the tendency to give up. This is when Lord Krishna came to their rescue by always bringing their attention to the final goal, to keep their eyes focused on the final goal of winning the war on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. We need those guides. We need those personalities. We need those gurus, mentors who will keep pumping in the energy, who will keep inspiring us to not give up despite our failures, despite the losses that we face in terms of keeping up with our commitments. Yes, failure has the nature to get into our hearts and make us depressed. Ladies and gentlemen, if in the last 1 week you haven't been able to keep up with your commitment despite having decided it, maybe you did it a few times, maybe you didn't do it a few times, don't worry. Pick yourself up, get yourself together, and just keep moving. It's not about losing a battle, it's about winning the war. And what's winning that war? To keep your eyes on the goal of seeing the new you, of seeing the changed you, of seeing the transformed you. If the goal is to win the war, to see the transformation in yourself, to see the change in yourself, to see the freshness and newness in yourself, then don't worry if you lose a battle here and a battle there. It's a part of the deal. It's a part of the game. So you guys are the guys who are on the bike, who started riding the bike of your commitment, but on the way you got a little distracted by those temptations here and there and you fell off the bike. Don't worry. Pick the bike up, get onto the bike. You are in the right direction. Keep going. If you are one of those who belong to the category of not even remembering the habit that you identified, or not even remembering the commitment that you made to that micro change, you probably are those who are on the bicycle in the right direction. You started, but you got distracted and went in some other direction. No worries, you're still on the bike. Come back in the right direction. For those who don't even remember where they started and what their commitments were, I would recommend start writing a habit journal, and you will be more conscious about the micro changes on a daily basis. And for those who haven't even identified the habit yet and haven't even decided what that micro change and micro installment will be, I think you haven't even got the bike and started riding it. So now look for a bike, get onto the bike and start riding. Whichever category we belong to, the goal is to keep moving in a way that we can reach our destination. So a summary of what we discussed today, just that so that we can take an inventory and do some self-assessment, is if you are those who are already on the bike, moving on successfully, committed to doing what you're doing in the right direction. If you're slow, keep moving. Haven't adapted, for the next 1 week, adapt to the change that you've decided you would. If you're fast, if you're already moving, if you've adapted to the change, increase the speed of your going. Make that new increment, the new micro change for the next week till we meet again and take an inventory on the 14th day of our habit challenge. If you're those who are riding the bike, had made the commitment, had started, but fell off the bike, failed, don't worry. Keep going. Pick yourself together. Get up on the bike. It's not about losing a battle. It's about winning a war. Fix your eyes on the goal. The first category, don't allow success in your head to enter in your head and be complacent. The second category, don't allow failure to enter into your heart and make you depressed. Keep going. If you belong to the third category, who are riding the bike and went in some other direction, come back to the direction. Start writing a habit journal. And if you belong to the fourth category, where you haven't even identified your habit yet, forget about making a micro change and deciding that installment. I would say, get the bike, start the commitment. We still have 2 weeks to go before we enter into the new year 2018. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, I would like to thank you all for joining us this morning for our 7th day of Facebook Live session. And I would be very excited and look forward to seeing you once again tomorrow at Indian Standard Time, 8 o'clock. Until then, have a great day ahead. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.